Sitting in the lavish marble-clad bathroom of our 5-star resort at 3 a.m., I never imagined I'd be typing something like this. My wife of 8 years sleeps soundly in our king-sized bed just outside, completely unaware that I now know the truth. I'm 35, and I spent over a year saving for this dream anniversary trip. $12,000 for an all-inclusive tropical getaway, private beach dinners, and once-in-a-lifetime experiences. My wife, 33, had always complained that we didn't do enough exciting things, despite the fact that I had been tirelessly building my business from the ground up. I wanted to show her that I listened, that I cared. But from the moment we arrived, something felt off. She was constantly glued to her phone, her face lighting up at incoming messages. She disappeared for hours at a time, claiming she was at the spa or making friends with other guests. I tried to ignore the uneasy feeling creeping into my gut. Then came our anniversary dinner, the pinnacle of the trip, a night I had meticulously planned to be unforgettable. Halfway through, she suddenly claimed she wasn't feeling well and needed to return to the room. Something about her demeanor didn't sit right. I gave her a 15-minute head start before quietly following her. But she didn't go to our suite. Instead, I tracked her to a secluded part of the resort, where she met another man on his private terrace. Hidden in the shadows, I watched in stunned silence as they kissed before disappearing inside together. Shock and heartbreak coursed through me, but as I stood there, my devastation turned into something colder, clarity. I stayed long enough to hear her laughter, mocking me, calling me boring, nothing more than a walking wallet. It was all I needed. I took photos, recorded snippets of their conversation as evidence, and walked away, already planning my next move. By 6 a.m., while she still lay asleep, likely exhausted from her late-night escapades, I was making my moves. First, I called my lawyer, laying everything out. He assured me he'd begin preparing the divorce papers immediately. Then, I changed my flight, moving it up to that very morning. Next, I removed her name from the hotel reservation, effective as soon as I checked out. I froze all joint credit cards and transferred the funds from our shared account into my personal one. My lawyer confirmed this was entirely legal, as I had contributed 95% of it. Before walking out, I left a note on the bedside table. Enjoy your new adventure. I hope he's willing to pay your way home. With that, I checked out and boarded my flight. When the airline staff asked about her absence, I simply stated she had decided to extend her stay. By the time I landed back home, the chaos had begun. My phone exploded with frantic messages. Where are you? Is this a joke? The hotel says I have to check out by 11 a.m. The credit cards aren't working. I can't pay for anything. Answer me, you idiot. Then, predictably, her tone shifted. Please, baby, I made a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. Please help me. On my lawyer's advice, I saved every single one of those messages. Meanwhile, her attempt to turn to her affair partner for help backfired spectacularly. She had told him she was single. The moment she needed money and a place to stay, he ghosted her. Desperate, she called her parents, begging for help. But they refused. They had seen this coming, they told me later, but had stayed silent. Even her sister refused to bail her out, bluntly telling her to go to hell. With no financial support, she was at the mercy of the resort staff. Through a contact at the hotel, I learned she had resorted to washing dishes in the kitchen just to extend her stay. The same woman who had never worked a single day in her life was now scrubbing plates to survive. A week later, I got word that she had managed to scrape together enough money for a flight home. I knew I needed to see her one last time, not out of love, not out of sympathy, but for closure. My lawyer advised against it, but I ignored him. This wasn't just about ending a marriage. This was about making sure she understood exactly what she had done. I arrived at the airport 30 minutes early, standing off to the side with divorce papers in hand. But not just any papers. These were meticulously prepared, complete with printed screenshots of her texts, photos from the resort, and a detailed account of her betrayal, airtight, undeniable. Then, she appeared. Disheveled. Wearing the same clothes from days ago. The moment she spotted me, a flicker of hope crossed her face, until she saw what I was holding. She rushed toward me, her emotions swinging wildly between anger and desperation. "How could you leave me there? Do you know what I've been through?" I remained calm, which only enraged her further. As she ranted, I handed her the papers and, loud enough for the growing crowd to hear, said, "You chose to screw another man on our anniversary trip. The one I paid for. These are divorce papers. You get nothing." She lost it, screaming that I was abusive, that she had been forced into another man's arms, that I had neglected her. The audience grew. And then, she made her final, fatal mistake. She tried to slap me. I stepped back just in time. Airport security had already been watching the spectacle, and in an instant, they were on her. As they restrained her, I delivered my parting words. "Everything you're doing right now is being recorded. This will be shown to the judge." And with that, I turned and walked away. Since then, the fallout has been nothing short of unexpected. Friends I assumed would take her side instead reached out with support, admitting they had always found her behavior troubling. Even her own sister called to apologize for not warning me sooner. I've moved forward. The locks are changed, her belongings packed into storage, my focus solely on myself. My business is thriving. I've lost 10 pounds. I started therapy. Hell, I even went on a casual coffee date. Someone who knows my situation and doesn't judge me for it. For the first time in years, I feel free. Free from walking on eggshells. Free from the weight of constantly trying to please someone who was never truly satisfied. Free from working 80-hour weeks to fund a lifestyle that was never appreciated. She, on the other hand, is staying with a distant cousin, the only family member willing to take her in. She has sent dozens of emails, swinging between threats and desperate pleas. I've ignored them all. The divorce is moving forward, and my lawyer is confident she'll receive minimal alimony, if any. This will be my last update. This chapter of my life is closed. And strangely, despite all the pain, I find myself grateful. Because for the first time in 8 years, I can finally breathe. Sitting in the luxurious bathroom of our 5-star resort at 3 a.m., I never imagined I'd be typing something like this. My wife of 8 years is asleep in our king-sized bed just outside, completely unaware that I now know the truth. I'm 35, and I spent over a year saving for this dream anniversary trip. $12,000 for an all-inclusive tropical getaway, private beach dinners, the works. She always complained that we never did anything exciting, despite the fact that I was working tirelessly to build my business from the ground up. But I wanted to show her that I listened, that I cared. From the moment we arrived, something felt off. She was glued to her phone, smiling at messages, disappearing for hours with excuses about spa treatments and making friends with other guests. Then came our anniversary dinner, the one I had meticulously planned to be the pinnacle of this trip. Halfway through, she suddenly claimed she wasn't feeling well and needed to return to the room. My gut twisted. Something was wrong. I gave her a 15-minute head start before following her, hoping I was just being paranoid. But she didn't go to our suite. Instead, I tracked her to a different part of the resort, where I found her slipping onto the private terrace of another man. Hidden behind lush plants, I watched them kiss before disappearing inside together. As if that wasn't enough, I overheard her laughing at me. She called me boring, a walking wallet, someone she only tolerated for financial security. Rage and heartbreak hit me all at once, but I knew I had to handle this strategically. I took photos and recorded snippets of their conversation as evidence. Now, sitting here alone, I'm contemplating my next move. Do I leave her here, change my flight, block the credit cards, and be gone before she even realizes what's happened? Would that be too cruel? Or not cruel enough? 48 hours have passed since I discovered my wife's betrayal, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone who offered their support. Your words kept me grounded through the most painful night of my life. After that sleepless night, I got to work before dawn, while she was still fast asleep, probably exhausted from her new adventure. By 6 a.m., I had made my moves. 1. I called my lawyer back home and explained everything. He immediately began preparing the divorce papers. 2. I changed my flight and arranged to leave that morning. 3. I removed her name from the hotel reservation, Effective as soon as I checked out. 4. I froze all joint credit cards and transferred my earnings from our shared account into my personal one. My lawyer assured me this was legal since I contributed 95% of it. 5. I left her a note. Enjoy your new adventure. I hope he's willing to pay your way home. Then I walked out of our suite, checked out, and boarded my flight. When airline staff asked about her absence, I simply told them she had decided to extend her stay. Back home, I shut down all of her financial access and made one last call to her parents. To my surprise, they were on my side. Apparently, they had been concerned about her treatment of me for years but had kept silent. They assured me that if she called begging for money, they would refuse. Sure enough, by 3 p.m., my phone exploded with frantic calls, texts, and emails. I ignored them but read through the messages. Where are you? Is this a joke? The hotel says I have to check out by 11 a.m. Where the hell are you? The cards aren't working. I can't pay for anything. Answer me, you idiot. Then, the tone shifted. Please, baby. I made a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. Please help me. I saved every single message, on my lawyer's advice. Meanwhile, I heard from mutual friends that she turned to her affair partner for help. It turned out she had told him she was single. The moment she needed money and a place to stay, he ghosted her. Her parents told me she had a breakdown over the phone, begging them to send her money. They played along, acting sympathetic, before ultimately refusing. Her sister's response was even better. She told her to go to hell. And the cherry on top. My lawyer served her divorce papers via email that morning. With no way to pay for her room, she was now at the mercy of resort staff. According to my contacts there, she had been crying non-stop, claiming she was an abandoned, abused wife. Nobody believed her. As of now, she's washing dishes in the hotel kitchen to extend her stay. The same woman who never worked a day in her life is now scrubbing plates just to survive. Too harsh. Maybe. But after 8 years of bending over backward for someone who laughed at me behind my back, I feel no guilt. She will make her way home eventually. And when she does, I have a final surprise planned for her at the airport. A week later, she managed to scrape together enough money for a flight home. I arrived at the airport 30 minutes early, divorce papers in hand. Not just any papers, meticulously prepared documents featuring printed screenshots of her texts, photos from the resort, and a detailed account of her betrayal. Legally airtight. Emotionally devastating. When her flight landed, I watched as passengers filtered out, one by one. Then I saw her. Disheveled. Exhausted. Wearing the same clothes from days ago. Her eyes lit up with hope, until she saw what I was holding. She rushed toward me, her expression shifting between anger and desperation. How could you leave me there? Do you know what I've been through? I stayed calm, which only made her more furious. I handed her the papers and, loud enough for bystanders to hear, said, "You chose to screw another man on our anniversary trip, the one I paid for. These are divorce papers. You get nothing." She snapped, screaming, hurling accusations. Then she made her biggest mistake. She tried to slap me. I stepped back just in time. Airport security, already watching her meltdown, swooped in immediately. As they restrained her, I delivered the final blow. "Everything you're doing right now is being recorded. This will be shown to the judge." She was escorted out of the terminal while I walked calmly to my car. 6 months later, life is unrecognizable. The divorce was finalized last month. Despite her desperate attempts to stall and squeeze more money out of me, the evidence of her infidelity, combined with the prenup I had forgotten to mention earlier, ensured she walked away with almost nothing. And that casual coffee date I mentioned? She's now my girlfriend. The complete opposite of my ex, supportive, appreciative, and genuinely interested in me, not just my bank account. My business has flourished. Without the financial drain of my ex, I reinvested my profits, doubled my client base, and hired 5 new employees. Ironically, I'm working less but making more. And karma. It came for my ex. Turns out she wasn't just cheating with resort guy. Once I was out of the picture, Women in our social circles started comparing notes. She had been a one-woman wrecking ball, sleeping with friends' husbands and boyfriends. She lost her cushy receptionist job after showing up drunk and screaming about me to clients. She was evicted from her cousin's place. Last I heard, she's working at a gas station and living in a run-down studio apartment. Do I feel bad for her? Maybe for a second. But then I remember her laughing at me, calling me boring, treating me like an ATM. And the feeling passes. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Sometimes, the trash really does take.